What if leadership wasn't about having the answers right now? What if we felt okay saying, we can't really see everything, and allowed ourselves not to know the solution in the moment? I'm Carmel Riley, and this is CRSE, Can't Really See Everything, a podcast for people who see complexity all around them, who want to embrace it, or support those affected by it, or actually scream at the frustration that others cannot seem to keep things simple. In this podcast, growth gets messy. We let lived experience and best practice dance together to emerge with new understanding. And together, we'll hold space for a journey towards clarity through the courage of not knowing exactly how we'll get there. However you need to show up today, always within a framework of safety and respect, you are welcome here. Episode 2. This is why I'm here. Before we begin, a gentle content note. This episode contains raw reflections on suicide, housing insecurity, disability, and ultimately systemic failure. It's told with care, not sensationalism, but it may stir strong emotions. Please listen in a way that honours your needs, and pause if you need to. You're not alone. This episode is personal. It doesn't follow a clean arc. It sits in that murky territory between lived experience and systems change. I need to tell you why I started CRSE Group in the first place, long before I had a logo, a website, or a podcast. My sibling David, 4 years my elder, was a complex, brilliant, deeply feeling being. Late diagnosed autistic, ADHD, PTSD, complex PTSD, and they also had a frontal brain injury after a car accident in their 20s. Chronic pain, mental health challenges, a lifetime of navigating systems that weren't built for someone like them. They had incredible insight and were deeply principled, and they were exhausted. And last week, David took their life. CRSE Group started as a work-integrated social enterprise for underrepresented professionals struggling to secure well-paid, meaningful employment. David fit the brief. Estranged from our family in their 30s, with a PhD in animal science and a current student in a Masters of Inclusive Education, a micro-business owner, DW tutoring. They sought economic stability and meaningful work through lived experience, advocacy, and providing services for neurodivergent children and youth. At the same time, I was navigating my own contradictions, trying to make sense of my career, feeling professionally exiled for being too much, not enough, too experienced, too lived. I was doing unpaid work to stay connected to my field, volunteering with the hope it would lead to employment, only to be asked if I would do a paid executive leadership role for free. The exact kind of injustice I was trying to dismantle. That tension, that paradox, that fire, all went into building CRSE Group. It was built from the paradox of David's and my own life as a twice exceptional person. Intelligence and hidden disability, a combination that's difficult for many to comprehend. How might someone with such academic intelligence or articulate language suffer so much that they were running on empty, with a battery that could not fully charge? I observed with gut-wrenching clarity the way our systems cornered us, over and over. CRSE Group stood for Consulting Reimagined Social Enterprise Group. The deeper meaning was always this: how do we create good work, well-paid, meaningful and connected work that acts as a protective factor against suicide risk, economic precarity and executive isolation? How do we hold space for people whose lives don't fit neat templates, people who are simultaneously brilliant and struggling, capable and excluded? Last week, the police found David alone. After eviction notices, after months of advocacy, after documenting every attempt to be heard to qualify to survive, their final weeks were publicly visible on social media, advocacy to the very end. They were fighting for housing, for recognition, for justice, and we still lost them. And I want to be crystal clear. They didn't give up. Their house was half-packed. They were tutoring neurodivergent kids under their own micro-business, studying for a master's in inclusive education. Their wallet was full of disability support and housing support contacts. They were waiting on paperwork, still holding hope. I knew long before David's death that my sibling deserved better. After David died, the morgue told us, "We'll care for them as long as you need. There's no rush." They meant well, but the irony crushed me. Because in life, all they ever got was rush. Rush to meet deadlines, rush to prove eligibility, rush to find housing before eviction. They finally had formal recognition of their disabilities. Their NDIS application had been submitted, but the system told them it'll be months before we can consider support. Meanwhile, the court ruled that time was up. That gap, that brutal paradox is what killed them. One part of the system said, "We'll help, just wait." The other said, "No more waiting, you're out." And then, after they died, take all the time you need. So this is where CRSE begins, really. Not in the success stories or neat endings, but in the unbearable in-betweens, in the moments where systems fail, where people fall through the cracks, and where it still matters to ask, what might we learn if we really paid attention? CRSE was never just a clever acronym. It was a calling. It was born from the knowledge that economic empowerment, connection, and visibility are not luxuries, but lifelines. David's story, their brilliance, their breakdowns, their advocacy, and their absence is my why. This podcast is one way I will keep their advocacy alive, a place to honour David's last wish, that their story be seen, that their experience illuminate what happens when systems fail people with complexity again and again. This is not about inspiration porn. This is a call to hold complexity, to lead from learning and not certainty, and to speak the truth about grief, rage, and what it costs to keep pretending we can fix people instead of fixing the conditions. I don't always know the answers, and you probably don't either, but maybe that's the point. If you've stayed with me through this episode, thank you. I don't take your time or energy for granted. If this stirred something in you, grief, rage, recognition, you are not alone. There are supports listed in the show notes. And if you want to be part of imagining something better, where policy meets people with clarity and care, you're in the right place. This is CRSE. Can't really see everything. We need to learn what's possible together. Thank you. And to my dearest, dearest brother David, I love you, mate. And I truly, truly hope you are now getting that long-earned rest you deserve, surrounded by people and animals that you love.